Part 110. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1091. Except for the four ancient mythical beasts, the immortal emperor has almost collected all the ordinary mythical beast beads. Nujiao knew all about these and introduced to Zuyun, there are 7 phoenix pearls, 7 phoenix pearls, 7 peng pearls, and 7 lin pearls. Zuyun was shocked when he heard that Nujiao had so many treasures, but he was relieved when he thought that these were collected by the immortal emperor. If a demon cultivator with the blood of a divine beast refines the corresponding beads, can he become a divine beast? Divine beasts are extremely special existences, such as the familiar dragons and phoenixes. As soon as they are born, they can transform into humans and do not need to practice at all. Their realm will naturally break through as they grow older. Some magical powers are also self-taught without a teacher, and they are all inherited. Yes, it is indeed the case. However, there is another situation, that is, if people refine these beads, they can obtain certain magical powers of mythical beasts, such as the 7 phoenix pearls and the 7 phoenix pearls. If the 7 beads are completely refined and absorbed, an extra life will come out of thin air. Because the phoenix's natal magical power is rebirth. Sharp. Zuyun praised, but he couldn't help but think of the phoenix outside the Dao glass mirror. He didn't know whether it was a phoenix or a phoenix. However, what is certain is that the other party is coming with bad intentions. After all, he is here for Fengguo sword. And inside the Fengguo sword, there is a young phoenix as the weapon spirit. It is conceivable that this sword refiner is extremely powerful. Sighing, Zuyun looked at the messy and empty third floor, and said, I don't know if those beads were collected by the Dragon Demon Emperor or if they were left behind. Maybe I can find the Chaos Sword and ask about it? Can no. Don't worry, Nujiao comforted softly, the Chaos Sword is just a little too playful. When you have enough fun, maybe it will come back. Zuyun was dumbfounded. He didn't know whether he believed it or not. But for now, he can only accept it. Nujiao, please continue practicing. After I refine the incarnation, it's time to go out and take a look. Zuyun didn't know the extent of the external calamity, but if he didn't combine the 5 incarnations into 5, it would be equivalent to having 5 chances to get out. Like an incarnation condensed from a single spiritual bead, even if it dies, it will leave behind the bead. Zuyun only needs to pick it up and practice again to recondensate the incarnation. At most, it only consumes the power of chaos and soul. Compared to the current situation, this is nothing. Okay, Nujiao nodded and said, Master, I also looked at the beads on the second layer, and they are all still there. However, the beads on the second layer are relatively weird, so you must not move them. Nujiao warned seriously. I see. Zuyun didn't dare to neglect and didn't ask why. The two of them walked down the Zhangzu pavilion side by side, and finally separated after reaching the top of Sword Mountain. Dragon Suppressing Stone. Looking at the extremely calm Hualong Pond, Zuyun shouted in his heart, and a red light suddenly appeared in his forearm. In an instant, Zuyun had a stone with dim red light in his hand. The Dragon Suppressing Stone consumes a lot of demon power and soul power. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is barely surviving at this time. Fortunately, Zuyun finally entered the immortal mansion safely, and it was time for him to fulfill his promise. Dragon Suppressing Stone, I promise you, I will do it, I hope you won't let me down. After the words fell, the Dragon Suppressing Stone suddenly became a little brighter, but after a few breaths, it dimmed again. Zuyun took a deep breath and gently threw it out. Thump! There was a splash of water in the Dragon Transformation Pond, and the Dragon Suppressing Stone quickly sank to the bottom of the pond. Saying goodbye to Nujiao, Zuyun returned to the cave. He didn't know what was going on outside. The trump card of the universe glazed mirror had been exposed, and time was considered urgent. He did not refine Qi to restore the full power of chaos in his body, but needed to refine the incarnation. Let's refine the fire incarnation first. With the thought in Zhu Yun's mind, the chaotic power in the 9 meridians quickly turned into the most refined and pure fire spirit power, like a rushing river and sea, rushing towards the fire spirit beat in his heart. Woo! There was a muffled sound, and the fire spirit pearl began to move. It had just been embedded in the heart and merged with Zhu Yun, but now it had a faint tendency to be peeled off. For a moment, the fire spirit bead emerged from Zhu Yun's left chest. After it completely left, it suddenly burst into flames. Zhu Yun focused his attention and saw that in just a few breaths, the fire light had converged and formed a silhouette of a human figure. Huo Mang kept twisting his clothes, as if he was pinching his face. After his body shape was exactly the same as that of Zhu Yun, his facial features slowly became more prominent. A whole cup of tea. A Zhu Yun dressed in red has already taken shape. When the red color fades and becomes the same as Zhu Yun's color, then this fire incarnation is completely completed. Earth incarnation again. Next, all you need to do is transform into yourself and gather the fire power, without Zhu Yun's intervention. He followed the same pattern and condensed the remaining 4 incarnations one after another. However, this time, he did not control the fusion of these 5 incarnations, so as not to create a powerful enemy for himself for no reason during the last time he practiced the incarnation technique. Almost. The chaos power was consumed a lot, but fortunately the 5 incarnations were completed. Zhu Yun took a breath of turbid air and felt that his head was a little heavy. Because 5 incarnations will consume half of his soul. You go out first to see what's going on outside, and then come in quickly. Zhu Yun said in his heart, and the fire incarnation nodded immediately, and then disappeared out of thin air, leaving the immortal palace. The soul of the fire incarnation came from Zhu Yun, and after the remnant soul of the jade slip was completely taken away by the instrument fairy, this immortal palace was truly controlled by Zhu Yun. This is also one of the reasons why the resonance of the Daoliuli mirror with the other fragments disappeared. Another reason is that if the other fragments are refined, they will not resonate because of the different relationship between the soul and the spirit. The fragments of the Dragon Demon King did not begin to merge until Zhu Yun approached the Daoliuli mirror, which was also because of this relationship. Even the fragment of the 5 elements sect. It will be the same. After the fire incarnation went out, Zhu Yun gave corresponding instructions to the other incarnations, and then he walked to the edge of the void and began to refine his qi. While refining, he did not look inward, but according to his own experience, this at least consumed the chaos power of his 5 lotus hearts. Zhu Yun was exhausted physically and mentally, and walked to the edge of the void to start refining his qi. But just as he sat down and started practicing qi refining, something strange happened. Zhu Yun was surprised to find that the speed at which he absorbed the power of the void chaos became faster. What happened? He quickly collected his mind and looked into his lower abdomen. Instantly, he was stunned. Originally, when the 24 lotus hearts were formed, he had specially observed that they were arranged in a flat and regular manner. Later, he used the Azure Dragon Fist, and the 24 lotus hearts were divided into 4 directions, a total of 6. There was one more in the east, corresponding to the Azure Dragon. Then came the Black Tortoise Fist and the Vermilion Bird Fist, all the same. After the last White Tiger Fist, he attacked like a tide, trying to suppress the Dragon Demon King directly to death. Although something unexpected happened later, he had no time to look inside, and even thought that the 28th lotus heart would also be arranged according to the 4 directions. But what he saw at this time was that there was no rules at all, as if they were arranged casually. The most important thing is that the speed of absorbing chaos power is several times faster than before. Zhu Yun has now reached the early stage of the transformation of the spirit. After so many years of practice, his body has long been able to absorb chaos power autonomously. While he was in a trance, an empty lotus heart had already lit up. The chaos power contained in this lotus heart can be comparable to that of an ordinary transformation of the spirit. And he can be full in just a few breaths. Zuyun was surprised and happy. After practicing the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra to the stage of forming the pill, he has not dared to practice extensively. In fact, this is one of the main reasons. The discrepancy between the introduction of the technique is getting bigger and bigger as his realm improves. At this time, Zuyun, who was in a daze, suddenly found that this lotus heart, which had no arrangement rules at all, actually began to slowly circle in the lotus pod. But no matter how it turned, the position between the lotus hearts did not change at all. Repeatedly, the beginning and the end are connected. Zuyun was suddenly startled and remembered the 8 words he realized when he was in the thousands of immortal formations laid by the great universe array fairy. It was these 8 words that made him understand the truth that the great way is simple and different paths lead to the same destination. So, these 28 lotus hearts are the way? Zuyun frowned, thinking, and his body did not stop absorbing the chaotic power. The lotus pod spared no effort to help refine it, lighting up the lotus hearts one by one. Until all the lotus hearts lit up, a vast starry sky suddenly appeared in Zuyun's mind. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1092. I understand, I understand. 28 constellations. This is the 28 constellations. When Zuyun shouted these words, all the creatures in the immortal mansion were immediately alarmed. This is true even for those elixirs who have been concentrating on practicing recently. And after entering the cave with Zuyun, Nujiao went to the sword pond instead, and the dragon suppressing stone hidden deep in the dragon transformation pond. Zuyun was so anxious that he was afraid that the stars in his mind would disappear. He hurriedly ran towards the small courtyard. The next moment, he appeared in the world of Dazhu. Zuyun did not use a trace of chaos power. He was afraid that if he used even a trace of chaos power, it would affect the arrangement of the 28 lotus hearts. The secret of immortality. Instead of using the power of chaos, you can also use the immortality technique footwork. He ran all the way east, towards the volcano of the great universe formation Immortal. In the fairy mansion, Nujiao had already put on her clothes and stood beside the Huanglong tree. Lashu, young master, what's wrong with him? Zuyun's shout just now almost caused the sword power to enter her body, thus seriously injuring her. Fortunately, although her cultivation was still shallow and she was experienced, her demonic body was still the same, so she held Yuan Xiaoyi in her arms and did not let those thousands of swords hurt her at all. It seems to be shouting, 28 constellations. Huang Longshu looked strange and said, maybe the master has realized something from these stars. Old Shu, what are the 28 constellations? Aren't they the 24 constellations? From the side, the sound of blood ginseng sounded. 28, where is 24? Don't pretend to understand. Huang Longshu glared at Shui Ginseng, and even Nujiao said strangely, yes, the 28 stars, we demons live in the sea of stars, we know it clearly, there is no way we can get it wrong. Sister Nujiao, ancestor, Hong Yejiao smiled and said, maybe this is what the mortal world says. After all, blood ginseng comes from the mortal world. Nujiao suddenly realized and said, that's it? No wonder the young master is so excited. 4 of the 24 stars are missing, just like the most important page of the skill is missing. No wonder, after the young master realized it, I'm anxious to find the great universe immortal. That should be related to the formation. Huang Longshu thought for a moment and said, the formation of the immortal formation is mysterious and extraordinary. The master may be troubled, but I don't know how he realized it. After all, he didn't even know what the 28 constellations were. Judging from Zhu Yun's surprised reaction, Huang Longshu was right. It's 24, Xue Shen said, seeming a little aggrieved. My master practiced boxing here before, and it seemed to be 24. I even counted it specially. At that time, his boxing style seemed to be different from that in the mortal world. The changes in the 24 solar terms are connected. In my original mortal world, the 24 constellations correspond to the 24 seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the 4 seasons change. Nujiao was stunned for a moment, and then said, in the 24th season, as far as I know from the Immortal Emperor, the world stars under the Immortal Emperor's jurisdiction also use this method. Is there a conspiracy in this? If it was done by an Immortal Emperor, it would be easy to say. But it is thought-provoking that all the Immortal Emperors govern the lower world in this way. I don't know. Anyway, when I showed my spiritual wisdom in the mortal world, I met many mortals. They all talked about the 24 seasons and the 24 constellations. If I hadn't mentioned them now, I wouldn't have known what it matters. Nujiao frowned, pondered for a moment, and said, the 28 stars are also divided into 4 directions. There are 7 in each direction, but there is one dominant party, which is based on the 4 ancient mythical beasts. Could these 4 mythical beasts also corresponds to the changes of the seasons? If so, whether the young master understands the constellation formation or the chaos fist, he will be extremely terrifying. Huang Longshu also looked solemn and said, yes, the 28 stars. I heard the Immortal Emperor also said that it is also one of the laws of the immortal world. Whoever can master this law can use the power of the starry sky. You know, the immortal world itself is a universe of stars. As soon as these words came out, both Nujiao and the Immortals fell silent. After an unknown amount of time, Zhu Yun finally reached the volcano. Ahem, a weak cough sounded. Zhu Yun, did you spy on me? I just woke up for an hour, and you came. Array Immortal, Zhu Yun looked anxious, because he was afraid that the 28 lotus hearts on the lotus pod might change positions at any time, so he immediately asked, you understand the array, but do you understand the Xianxia formation? Star formation. The Array Immortal said in a strange tone, I know a little about how to use the laws of stars to set up formations, but it's not a big deal. The 28 stars are not that easy. Why do you suddenly ask this question? Zhu Yun was startled and asked quickly, 28 constellations. Are they really 28 constellations? Of course they are the 28 constellations, said the Formation Immortal with an even weirder look. The 28 constellations are also one of the most powerful laws, but no one has mastered the laws, so few people understand the great ways. I only know 2. The 4 major constellations in the 18 are unknown. Which big 4? Zhu Yun's heart skipped a beat. Of course they are the 4 mythical beasts, the green dragon and the red bird, and the white tiger and the basalt. Upon hearing this, Zhu Yun's mind exploded with a bang. It's really 28 constellations. So, does the Chaos Fist I learned have the power of law? Maybe I am still too weak to feel the so-called laws, but this Chaos Fist. Wait. Zhu Yun's breath suddenly stagnated. The Chaos Fist came from the 5 elements of Chaos Sutra, and it was obvious that this immortal world technique was a huge conspiracy. And the reaction of the Formation Immortal is a common truth about the 28 constellations. So, does it mean that the 5 elements Immortal has mastered the laws of the 28 constellations? Very likely. Otherwise, how could he be qualified to be the enemy of the Immortal Emperor? That's for sure. For a moment, Zhu Yun was also frightened by himself. An immortal who has mastered the most powerful laws plots against the mortal world. What is his plan? Just when he was horrified, the great universe Array Immortal asked curiously, Boy Zhu Yun, have you realized the truth about the 28 constellations? It is the way in the lower realm. In the fairy world, it is the law. No, it's just that the kid learned a set of formations and was wondering if he could place stars in them to make the formation stronger. Zuyun woke up and hid the fact that he had learned Chaos Fist. He is still afraid. Huh? The formation of the stars is quite interesting. The great universe formation Immortal immediately became interested and said, "Then you lay it down and let me have a look. It is also a good time to see how many of my formations you have understood. Then please ask the formation Immortal to take a look." Zuyun corrected his mentality, first looked inside the lotus pod, and memorized the positions of the 28 lotus hearts in his mind, then stretched out his fingers and began to gather the power of chaos. It's just a formation used for testing. Zuyun doesn't need to use spiritual power, just use his own chaos power. A lotus heart can spread thousands of eyes. For a full hour, Zuyun set up a great star-moving formation. This formation is not bad, the formation Immortal praised, and then said, "However, this formation has many shortcomings. But you are a monk in the lower realm and have never experienced the world of immortality. It is extremely rare to have such an understanding. Tell me, this formation, what's your name?" "This formation is called Dozwan Scene Shift." Zuyun silently said, "I'm sorry," and Tang in his heart, then showed a proud look and said to the formation Immortal, "The stars have changed, not bad, not bad." The formation Immortal nodded again, and then said, "I can see that this formation is ever changing, and it deserves its name." Unexpectedly, you, a small cultivator in the lower realm, can actually observe the thousands of stars in the fairyland, and they are actually slowly rotating. This is a fact that no ordinary immortal can discover. What? The fairy world is also rotating. Zuyun's expression changed, and the scene on the lotus appeared in his mind again. The 28 lotus hearts, if seen as stars, the lotus pods are seen as the void of the fairy world. Isn't this also spinning? Of course, Xianxia laughed and said, "There is night and day, and it is the world star you are in that is rotating. Summer is long and winter is short, precisely because the world star is revolving around its sun. Of course, the sun will also revolve around a certain center. So, in the fairy world, will the countless world stars and suns also revolve around a center in the void?" After hearing this, Zuyun's mind reappeared in the horoscope. Over and over again, connected end to end. He even remembered his most real experience in the universe. From the volcano to the north, it finally appeared from the south. All of this. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1093. Boom. Suddenly, a loud sound came from his lower abdomen. Zuyun quickly looked inside and his expression changed. I saw that the 28 lotus hearts that originally shone with golden light due to the lotus fire suddenly turned into fragments of flowing light. These fragments use lotus pods as discs, wandering around randomly inside without any rules. Not only that, they continue to divide. In the end, everything turned into tiny points of light. If it weren't for the glow, Zuyun wouldn't be able to spot it. But the changes in the lotus pods have not stopped yet. As the light gradually dissipated, there was nothingness above the lotus pod. Zuyun was shocked. Originally, his 28 lotus hearts were arranged in the position of the 28 constellations. This gave him an epiphany. He had even thought about it. If the arrangement of the 28 constellations was arranged, if we enter the Great Battle formation, will this formation undergo earth-shaking changes? One of the formations inherently contains the ultimate principles of heaven. The 28 constellations are the laws originating from the fairy world, and they are even better. But now, the lotus heart is gone. Just when Zuyun was still in shock, another change occurred on the lotus pod. I saw that the hollows on the lotus pod where the lotus heart originally grew began to slowly shrink, and when they completely disappeared, veins appeared one after another. These veins finally come together in the center of the lotus pod. Then, the center point began to glow. Boom! 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 His lower abdomen shook, as if a shocking explosion had occurred, and Zhu Yun's mind was filled with a shocking sound. But Zhu Yun was unmoved. The lotus pod was the source of his power. At this time, something unexpected happened. He vaguely guessed that it was related to his enlightenment, but he was afraid that his strength would be greatly damaged from then on. As the veins gathered together, a familiar light gradually emerged, and Zhu Yun's breathing began to become rapid. The gray light was even more tinged with fire. The gray is the power of chaos, and the fire is lotus fire. Soon, the light began to solidify, and the size gradually grew. It was a small spot of light at first, then gradually turned into a grain of rice, and then became as big as a fingernail. Until, like an egg, it stabilized. Then, the veins receded and sank into the lotus pods, never to be seen again. The strange movements and loud noises in the body also stopped. This is 28 lotus hearts combined into one. Zhu Yun was greatly surprised. In terms of quantity, it has indeed become less. Looking at it this way, it seems to be no different from other stages of transformation. However, this egg-sized lotus heart is dozens of times larger than the original lotus heart. Feeling the immense power of chaos, Zhu Yun suddenly lost his mind. Is this a breakthrough? But that chaos fist can't be used? No, that's not right. Suddenly, Zhu Yun opened his eyes, with a solemn expression on his face, and said in his heart, I have been practicing the 5 Elements Chaos Sutra and it has been different since the elixir formation period, and the 5 Elements Senran passed down the Chaos Fist. I am afraid that his own body will be damaged. If I don't move inside, there is no way that one lotus heart can correspond to all the Chaos Fists. Therefore, the 28 lotus hearts merge into one, which means that no matter which boxing method I use next, there will be no restrictions. After figuring it out, a bright light flashed in Zhu Yun's eyes, and he immediately faced the great universe formation immortal in front of him. Boy Zhu Yun, you seem to have enlightened some great truth. The tone of the formation immortal was extremely solemn. Oh! Zhu Yun raised his eyebrows. He had indeed gained enlightenment, but the great universe formation immortal used the word amazing. Where did he see it? Boy Zhu Yun, although I only have a remnant soul left, my control over the world of the universe has been slowly taken away by the world tree. But I can see the changes in this world. If I can guess that's right, what you realized is related to the 28 constellations, right? Zhu Yun's expression changed. Could you tell this? You know, this is just a change that happened in his lotus. Only by transcending several realms can it be possible to see through the opponent's stanchion. The great universe array immortal only has a residual soul. Even though he was an immortal once, at least, he is not now. Seeing Zhu Yun's reaction, the great universe array immortal laughed and said, Boy, when you look up at the sky, what's changed? Zhu Yun immediately raised his head and opened his mouth wide. In the dark void, 4 seas of stars appeared, separated in all directions. Some stars are connected, and images will appear in his mind. Especially, it is square. Green dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, Suan Wu. Zhu Yun couldn't help but exclaimed. Yes, these are the stars of the 4 divine beasts, and the others are the remaining 24 stars. The great universe formation immortal Yu said, Boy Zhu Yun, the number of people in the entire immortal world who can understand this kind of truth is probably only one palm. Your future is limitless. Array immortal, these 28 constellations, are they so powerful? A yellow level world star means countless creatures. And the entire immortal world is so huge. There will definitely be more people who are more talented than him and have better luck than him. Zuyun didn't believe it. The formation immortal laughed, but his laughter was full of envy. Boy, although I don't understand this way, the entire immortal world knows that this law is extremely terrifying. However, if a gentleman is not guilty, he will be guilty if he has a treasure in his possession. You understand? It's okay to use it in this lower world. But if you use this law in the fairy world, you must kill people and destroy the corpses. Otherwise, you can imagine the consequences. Zuyun said in shock, Xianxia, do you mean that if I have such abilities, I will either be used by others or die? That's right, the great universe formation immortal said seriously, look at this immortal. Not only is he proud of the formation, but he is also a first-class existence among the southern immortal emperors. But look at me again, why is there only one left? A residual soul. Zuyun took a deep breath, it's because you have value and can become a weapon immortal in this world. It's wrong, but it's almost the same meaning. The great universe array immortal smiled miserably and said, the fairy world is far more miserable than the lower world, and your lifespan is infinite, but it also means that once you are favored by a powerful person, you will probably suffer endless pain. Zuyun suddenly said, so, when you are strong enough and have enough ability to protect yourself, you should still keep a low profile and try not to show off your talent. Yes, the more ordinary immortals are, the easier it is for them to survive in the immortal world. Of course, this is only a relative term. If they are not strong enough, they will not be able to do well when meeting someone who is interested. In short, the immortal world is not a good place. This place. After the great universe formation immortal finished speaking, he seemed a little tired. He slowly flew towards the volcano universe and left a message. Boy Zuyun, reshaping your body is what you promised me, but I hope that by then this great world of the universe will allow me to stay in this world. Before Zuyun could agree, the aura of the great universe formation immortal was gone, and he had obviously completely hid in the universe. Zuyun carefully savored the meaning of these words, but still didn't quite understand. Instead, he was more concerned about the changes that would take place in the universe. In the empty sky, the sun and moon first appeared, allowing day and night to be distinguished here. Now, there are more stars at night. Does it mean that the universe is slowly turning into a complete world? The ultimate goal of the immortal emperor in refining the cosmic glazed mirror is to create a world outside the body. But I heard from the formation immortal that the world has not yet taken shape. In other words, even if I collect all the fragments, the world is not complete. Refining, how can the world be so easy? Zuyun smiled bitterly, then left and appeared in the immortal mansion. Then, scenes appeared in his mind. This is what he saw and heard after several transformed gods separated from him. The dragon demon emperor is still carrying the calamity. Zuyun quickly cheered up. He had more important things to do right now. The fire incarnation had already died in the heavenly calamity. The earth incarnation waited for a long time without seeing the fire incarnation come back, so he left the immortal mansion and finally brought the fire spirit pearl back. However, he was also struck by the aftermath of the tribulation thunder. Although he was damaged, it was not fatal. At this time, he was sitting on the edge of the void, refining his energy and healing his wounds. Most of the day has passed outside, and the dragon demon emperor has not yet overcome the heavenly catastrophe. According to Nu Yao, he must have refined the 7 dragon balls. You can imagine how terrifying his strength is. Zuyun thought for a moment and clenched his fist again. The fists contained extremely powerful power. Transformation into God, mid-stage. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1094. Zuyun looked inside his body again and found that his 9 meridians had more than doubled again. During the previous changes, he had been paying attention to the lotus pods, but he had not noticed the 9 meridians. The expansion of the 9 meridians means that when you use the power of chaos, you will become faster and stronger. Zuyun exhaled a breath of turbidity. However, even if I am in the middle stage of becoming a god, I am seeking death if I go out. If I wait a little longer, there may be a chance to refine the fire spirit incarnation again now. Zuyun walked to the cave, picked up the fire spirit bead from the stone table and started refining it. Although the 5 elements incarnation technique was not perfect, it was not difficult to refine it again. Not long after, another incarnation appeared in the cave. Comparing the time, it was more than half faster than the previous time. This is due to the expansion of the 9 meridians, which can transport more fire spiritual power in the same period of time. At the same time, the speed at which chaos power is transformed into fire spiritual power is even faster. Waiting is not an option right now. After Zuyun asked the other 4 incarnations to sit on the edge of the void, an idea came to his mind. There are also wind spirit beads, thunder spirit beads and ice spirits in the hidden pearl pavilion. Pearl, I wonder if I can also refine it into an incarnation. As the thoughts came together, Zuyun couldn't hold himself back any longer. But the 5 spirit beads corresponded to the 5 internal organs, and he couldn't figure out the other 3 attributes derived from them. But if you have nothing to do, why not study it carefully? If you have a few more incarnations, the benefits will always be greater. Zuyun just did what he said and came to the Kangzhu pavilion again. He first picked up the wind lingzhu. Instead of rushing to refine, Zuyun transformed the wind spirit power and injected it into the wind spirit bead. But the wind spirit pearl was like a bottomless pit. Zuyun consumed half of the chaos power of the lotus heart, and then he discovered that there was no wind spirit power belonging to him in the wind spirit pearl. Does it require refining? Zuyun meditated, but still couldn't figure it out. After thinking for a while, he tried the ice lingzhu and the thunder lingzhu respectively, both with similar results. Does it really need to be refined? With no other option, Zuyun had no choice but to abandon the idea for the time being, but still stuffed the 3 beads into the ring before leaving the pearl hidden pavilion. At the edge of the void, 5 incarnations were sitting one after another, practicing quietly. Zuyun touched his empty belly and sat down. The chaos power in the lotus pod has been used up, and he needs to recover. At this time, outside the immortal mansion, the dragon demon emperor's catastrophe has come to an end. I saw that he was covered in scars, but there was no sign of weakness in his expression. But beside him, there were countless corpses of demonic dragons. Densely packed. Not to mention shocking, it is also shocking. Almost all of these are in the realm of demon saints. Some have practiced for more than 1,000 years, and many. Maybe even more concessions than the dragon demon emperor. Unfortunately, they are all the same at this point. But there was no sign of distress on the dragon demon emperor's face, because these demon dragons, under the guidance of his wild dragon roar, had resisted many catastrophes for him. In order to be able to overcome the calamity and ascend, the dragon demon emperor made complete preparations. In his eyes, everything can be used. Including clan members. The last one. The dragon demon emperor raised his dragon head and looked towards the sky. It has been an hour, and the 9th thunder calamity has not yet fallen. He knew that this was Ji Yun's final blow, and it would be stronger than the previous 8 attacks. At this moment, all the means of the dragon demon emperor were gone. The dragon palace is completely destroyed and all the people are dead. But the dragon demon emperor knew that as long as he survived this last thunderstorm, he would be able to regain his life. When the immortal light arrives, his injuries will be healed and his lifespan will be unlimited. The only regret is that I can't survive the disaster as a real dragon. Maybe surviving is the best outcome. While waiting, the dragon demon emperor once again fixed his eyes on the dimly lit day-glazed mirror. When the fragments merged, The colorful glass light was particularly brilliant, but looking at it now, it looked like an ordinary mirror. The Dragon Demon Emperor knew that the fragments should have been successfully fused. I don't know how many fragments this kid got to fuse into such a large mirror. It's hard to imagine how many treasures from the fairy world he got. The Dragon Demon Emperor secretly thought. Also at this time, in the sky, the dark clouds hung extremely low, and the ninth heavenly tribulation was finally here. Tiendeo, come harder. The Dragon Demon King raised his head again, with wild pride in his heart, and shouted proudly to the sky. Boom! There was a loud noise, like a response to the Dragon Demon Emperor, and then, an endless and wide thunder pillar fell with a crash. Directly engulfed the Dragon Demon Emperor in it. Even the Dewu glazed mirror is within the scope of this thunder. Ha ha ha! The way of heaven is nothing more than that. Accompanied by the thick sound of thunder, the voice of the Dragon Demon Emperor spread far into the distance. 100 miles away, a female cultivator covered in fiery red clothes floated in mid-air, looking at the tribulation thunder with an inexplicable expression. It is clearly visible from such a distance, which is enough to know how powerful this tribulation thunder is. You know, at that time, dozens of people in the late stages of transcending the tribulation simultaneously triggered the catastrophe, and there was never such a spectacular sight. I didn't expect that the Dragon Demon Emperor's strength could be suppressed to this extent. I don't know how he did it. Phoenix muttered to himself, full of shock. The Dragon Demon Emperor only has the body of a demon dragon, and she has the body of a divine beast, but she is far inferior to. This simply subverted her cognition. Fortunately, she never had a conflict with the Demon Dragon clan, otherwise, the Dragon Demon Emperor would not be able to overthrow her piece of plane. Huang, when did you become interested in the Demon Dragon crossing the heavenly tribulation? At this time, a dark figure suddenly appeared beside her. Demon Dragon. Huang didn't look back, but responded playfully, this Demon Dragon's calamity is much more powerful than your real dragon's calamity. That's because the Demon Dragon Emperor suppressed his strength too hard. I don't know how he did it. You also know that we, the Dragon and Phoenix clan, don't like to practice. We just want to let everything take its course. What a good one to let nature take its course. Huang Qi smiled and said, if you could go to the immortal world faster, wouldn't you go? And you came here to see how this demonic dragon overcomes the tribulation. Whatever you say, Zhenlong shook his head and said, I went back to my ancestral land, and the demon dragon passed through the tribulation and ascended. Maybe it is a good thing for our dragon and phoenix tribes. How do you say this? Huang stopped the real dragon. The demon dragon emperor has disturbed our true dragon clan a lot over the years, either with essence blood or dragon scales. Some of our juniors even died outside Kunlun. We guess it was the demon dragon emperor who did it. But, unfortunately, there is no evidence, otherwise, we, the true dragon clan, will punish him no matter what. You. Huang sighed and said, you are too self-righteous sometimes. If we, the Phoenix clan, would not tell them the evidence at all. Even we can feel that the Dragon Demon Emperor's true dragon aura is extremely strong. If with the true dragon essence and blood you gave me, even if it was refined by the Dragon Demon Emperor, it would be impossible for you to reach this level. But you still lied to yourself. I really don't know what you are thinking. You. The real dragon couldn't help but change his face when he was slapped in the face, but when he opened his mouth, he didn't know what to say, so he had to leave angrily. They don't know that all this happened to the Dragon Demon Emperor because he obtained the 7 Dragon Balls collected by the Immortal Emperor and the fragments with different time flow speeds, so that he could practice smoothly without any interruption. Dragon and Phoenix are no longer what they used to be. Huang sighed and did not leave, but slowly moved in the direction of Leiji. What she misses in her heart is still the aura of the young phoenix from before. Call. After a short while, Zuyun suddenly opened his eyes and exhaled a breath of turbid air. In the chaos bead, the power of chaos is once again full. The chaos bead is made up of 20 lotus hearts. Zuyun feels that it is no longer appropriate to call it the lotus heart. It's been so long, it's impossible that the dragon demon emperor hasn't finished his tribulation yet, right? He and Yayuan had talked a lot, and it was up to chance for a monk to survive a tribulation. In some cases, it may be over in an hour. But sometimes, 3 days and 3 nights may not be finished. Zuyun obtained the memory of the Earth Spirit Pearl. When he went out to retrieve the Fire Spirit Pearl, the Dragon Demon Emperor had already passed through the 5th calamity. Of course, this is his guess. According to this time, it should be about the same. Go out and take a look. Zuyun thought that observing the monks going through the tribulation would be very helpful to him, but he was really afraid of the tribulation thunder. By the way, don't I have the Thunder Spirit Pearl? Suddenly, an idea flashed in Zuyun's mind and he took out the bead from the ring. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1095. Among all the spiritual beads, Zuyun used the Fire Spirit bead the most, and it was also the first spiritual bead he obtained. Whether it was the second dantian for storing fire spiritual power or the space for nurturing the burning sky flame, I am afraid that no one in the entire spiritual world would be better than Zuyun in understanding the spiritual beads. In addition, he just kept transferring spiritual power to the other 3 spiritual beads, which gave Zuyun a deeper understanding of the nature of the spiritual beads. The spiritual beads can absorb the ownerless spiritual power of the corresponding attributes. The so-called ownerless means that these spiritual powers come without human control, of course, including demon cultivators and magic cultivators. The spiritual power used for spells has the same characteristic, that is, it carries soul power. Whether it is a demon soul or a soul, it is also true. The heavenly tribulation is caused by the way of heaven, not by living beings. Therefore, Zuyun judged that the Thunder Spirit bead might be able to absorb all the thunder spiritual power of the heavenly tribulation. In this way, he would not be threatened by the thunder tribulation. Thinking of this, Zuyun wanted to take the Thunder Spirit orb out. But if there was no threat from the heavenly tribulation, he didn't know if the Dragon Demon King would attack him. The most important thing was that he didn't know whether the Dragon Demon King had successfully passed the tribulation. No matter what, we still have to go out and take a look. We can't be timid here, otherwise when the Dragon Demon King successfully passed the tribulation. Zuyun knew very well what the risk was of leaving the day-glazed mirror outside. If there was no one, it would be fine. But in front of the Dragon Demon King, there was no need to say more. Zuyun was sure that the Dragon Demon King would recognize that this was a fairy treasure after he passed the tribulation. No matter who it was, it would be impossible for him to look at the treasure and not move, not to mention that he was going to the fairyland immediately. We must go out. At that time, he had no choice but to hide in it. Now that he had a way, if he didn't go out and try, there would be no hope at all. We should go, we still have to go. Zuyun took a deep breath and had a plan in his mind. Boom! The Dragon Valley had been razed to the ground. Under the extremely huge thunder spirit power of the 9th thunder tribulation, there was no place in this place that was safe. In the entire Kunlun Mountains, all the cultivators who were undergoing the tribulation were terrified. It was too terrifying. They could feel the endless power of the thunder from it. Could it be that their heavenly tribulation would be so strong? They were not moved, but just stayed in their own retreat, feeling the power of the heavenly way. It's almost there. It's almost there. At most, I can hold on for another half an hour, and I can survive the heavenly tribulation and ascend to heaven. By then, the colorful glass mirror will definitely become my natal fairy treasure. The Dragon Demon King has adapted to the intensity of this tribulation thunder. He was extremely fortunate that although he had suppressed his cultivation for so many years, he had never abandoned his cultivation and all the preparations he had made. Countless clansmen, the Dragon Valley and the Dragon Palace, who had been laid out, survived the first 8 tribulation thunders, so that he could be in the best condition to deal with the 9th tribulation thunder. He couldn't help but think that if he could become a true dragon again, it would probably be smoother. But if you lose something in one place, you gain something in another. Fortune and misfortune go hand in hand. With this glass mirror, he was very relieved. It's better than nothing. Just as he was thinking this, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. Zuyun, holding the dragon whip, appeared in his eyelids. The aftermath of the lightning quickly swept towards him. The Dragon Demon King was overjoyed. "Boy, your dragon whip is indeed restrained by me, but can you deal with this thunder?" The lightning was swift, and the scene of Zuyun's tragic death had already appeared in the Dragon Demon King's mind. The lightning suddenly disappeared without a trace. Huh! The Dragon Demon King blinked, and then he found that there was another Zuyun behind Zuyun. No, the Dragon Demon King's first reaction was that he was struck by lightning too many times, and his eyes were dazzled, so he saw double images, but the Zuyun behind him did not hold the dragon whip in his hand, and seemed to be holding something. Incarnation. The Dragon Demon Emperor looked down on him. The incarnation stage can indeed refine an incarnation, but so what? But another lightning bolt attacked Zuyun, and when it disappeared into the hands of the incarnation stage again, the Dragon Demon Emperor finally saw it clearly. He exclaimed, "Thunder Spirit Pearl! Why didn't I think of it?" The Thunder Spirit Pearl can absorb all the thunder in the world to deal with thunder tribulations. Even if it cannot be absorbed completely, as long as it can be absorbed, it can also reduce one's own pressure. In the blink of an eye, several more lightning bolts were absorbed by the Thunder Spirit Pearl. Zuyun was even more delighted. He didn't expect that the Thunder Spirit Pearl would really work. He had already thought about it. If the Thunder Spirit Pearl was ineffective, he would lose an incarnation and escape first. And at this time, since it can be effective, then just stay and absorb all the thunder tribulations. In fact, using the Thunder Spirit Pearl to overcome the tribulation is nothing but a fantasy. Every thunder tribulation contains extremely terrifying energy. The Thunder Spirit Pearl is also a thing born and raised by nature, under the rules of heaven. It is true that it can absorb the power of heavenly thunder, but it cannot absorb too much. But at this time, the thunder tribulation has reached its final moment, and the attack of the Thunder Spirit power is not strong, but more of a pressure, which is why Zuyun took advantage of it. Zuyun didn't know the reason, but he just needed the Thunder Spirit Pearl to help him work. "Go, kill him." With a loud shout from Zuyun, several incarnations came out from behind him again. Except for the golden incarnation holding the Thunder Spirit Pearl, the other incarnations all have their own division of labor. The main body holds the dragon whip, the fire incarnation holds the Fengguo sword, the earth incarnation is responsible for drawing the heavenly talisman, the water incarnation takes a bag of spirit stones and is responsible for setting up the formation, and the wood incarnation is responsible for sweeping the formation. If anyone is injured, he will be given life by him. Seeing so many incarnations, even the Dragon Demon King was dumbfounded, but at this time, except for blinking, he could not move his whole body, and the golden incarnation also began to activate the Thunder Spirit Pearl. It was passively absorbed before, but now it has become active to absorb the power of the thunder tribulation on his body. The thick lightning column has passed its strongest time, and the sky thunder is dissipating, which makes the Dragon Demon King know that he is about to succeed. But if the Thunder Spirit Pearl absorbs all the power of the tribulation thunder, is it considered a successful tribulation? For a moment, the Dragon Demon King could not imagine it. Interrupting a person's tribulation was something he had never heard of in his life of tens of thousands of years. He could not think of a countermeasure to deal with it, not to mention that he was powerless to deal with it. He could only watch helplessly as Zuyun stretched out his finger as a pen and drew the word destroy. There were also people setting up the formation, throwing out pieces of spiritual stones, with him as the center. Even if he was not talented in formation, he could still see that this formation was extremely extraordinary. And the ones rushing in the front were the fire incarnation and the original body. One held a sword, and the other held a whip. The Fengguo sword was nothing. But the dragon whip had already made the dragon demon king feel extremely painful all over his body before it arrived. "You dare, you brat!" The dragon demon king roared, but it was useless. He could only watch the two Zuyuns standing in front of him, just waiting for the thunder spirit pearl to suck a gap in the lightning column in front of him, and the two would attack at the same time. "Hey, I feel the breath of my people again." In the distance, Huang suddenly frowned and looked in this direction in disbelief. This is the 9th thunderbolt, and it is fading, not interrupted, which means that the dragon demon king may be about to succeed in the tribulation, but why is there the breath of my people in this position? Huang simply couldn't figure out why. She didn't know that this breath came from a sword, not her living people. That's why Huang decided to go and check it out. If the dragon was still there, I could trick him into accompanying me. If there was a conflict with the dragon demon king, I could take care of him, but, never mind, if he went, he would die, and I still have a life. Thinking of this, Huang let out a clear whistle, turned into his original body, and flew towards Zuyun quickly. At the same time, Zuyun also saw the right time and whipped the head whip between the two horns of the dragon demon king. This is the purple mansion of the demon dragon, where the demon soul is. After being tempered by the thunderbolt, the demon soul has also undergone a qualitative change. But no matter how it changes, the suppression of the dragon whip will not be affected in any way. Because this is an immortal weapon. At least, the dragon demon king has not yet completely passed the tribulation. Without the baptism of the immortal light, he is a creature in the lower world. Pa! With a crisp sound, the dragon demon king roared in shock. But what greeted him was the sound of a phoenix. The Fengguo sword, with a phoenix-shaped fire, pointed directly at his right eye. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1096. Roar. The dragon demon emperor felt a burning pain in his eyes, and his right eye had lost its light. Eyes are the weak point of any living being. Even if you are at the level of the dragon demon emperor, no matter how strong your body is, it is impossible for you to withstand a blow from Fengguo sword. Because it is made from the essence and blood of the phoenix and the heart of the sycamore tree, and the spirit of the weapon is a living phoenix. This is a level of suppression. How can the dragon demon emperor resist it? Take advantage of his illness to kill him. Zuyun's eyes shrank, and the fire incarnation used the Wuji sword technique. The fiery red sword light flashed and pierced the dragon demon emperor's other eye again. When his demonic consciousness is useless, if his eyes are destroyed, he may not be able to escape even if he wants to, let alone relying on his body to withstand Zuyun's damage. Zuyun thought so, but the dragon demon emperor remained calm at this time. He was forced to bear it, but he was powerless. But as long as you can withstand Zuyun's siege, wait until the fairy light comes, and become a demon fairy in the upper world, then you can truly turn against the guest. Facing the fire that hit his left eye, the dragon demon emperor closed his eyes very rationally. Chiang. With the sound of gold and iron clashing, the damage caused by Fengwu sword this time was limited, and the backlash caused by the strong impact even bounced the incarnation of fire far away. If his eyes were safe, the Dragon Demon Emperor would definitely take advantage of this moment to lean out and bite the fire incarnation into pieces. But at this time, he only wanted to be stable. After the pressure was greatly reduced, he immediately chose to cross his body. The Dragon Demon King himself is also extremely fast. He was originally entangled in the Dragon Palace. Even though the Dragon Palace was destroyed due to resisting the catastrophe, his body was still like a python that was twisting its prey. The middle was empty, so the Dragon Demon Emperor buried his head in it, as if he was ready to be whipped by Zuyun. Is this giving up resistance? Zuyun was also greatly surprised. With the knowledge of the Dragon Demon Emperor, it was impossible not to know that beating the dragon whip would slowly disperse his demon consciousness. If he fought against him, there might be a glimmer of hope, although the hope was slim. And like this, obviously waiting to die, Zuyun continued to hold his hands, and the fire avatar was knocked away and seriously injured by the backlash. He simply let him heal his injuries on the spot, and let the wood avatar that swept through the formation fill this position. I didn't expect that I would be able to kill a demon saint who is comparable to the tribulation stage. Not far away, the golden incarnation held the thunder spirit bead, constantly absorbing the power of the thunder. The thunder pillar that could have completely covered the Dragon Demon Emperor slowly faded away. Among them is the relationship that the thunder tribulation is about to end, and also the reason for the absorption of the thunder spirit bead. But just as the thunder pillar was about to disappear, an extremely huge fire power aura came from the distance again. It's Huang. Why, he's here at this time. Zuyun was suddenly startled and let several incarnations continue to attack, while he turned around and prepared for the attack. But he never thought that Huang didn't even look at Zuyun and the Dragon Demon Emperor. Instead, he let out a sharp roar and rushed towards the fire incarnation sitting cross-legged on the ground. Feng Xiang Jushan. A roaring sound came from Na Wang's mouth, and the temperature around him rose sharply. I saw 9 phoenixes of different shapes suddenly appeared in the sky, rushing down towards the incarnation of fire. Boom! 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 Dragon Valley, which had turned into a wasteland, actually cracked open again at this moment. This phoenix is also the peak demon saint. Zuyun was horrified and watched helplessly as the fire incarnation was quickly annihilated and turned into a red fire spirit bead. Fortunately, Phoenix only targets the fire incarnation. If this magic were used against Zuyun, I'm afraid he would also die from it. Whoops! Just as Zuyun was shocked, the 9 fire phoenixes suddenly turned into free fire spirit power and dissipated in the air. The phoenix also turned into a human form, stepped on the fire spirit bead, and at the same time used the phoenix sword. Picked it up. Damn it, you actually refined a member of my phoenix clan into a weapon spirit alive. After saying that, Wang's beautiful eyes condensed and she looked at Zuyun with a fierce look. Senior, Zuyun took a deep breath and said calmly, I did not refine this Fengwu sword. Of course I know you didn't refine it. Let's not talk about your little transformation into a god, huh? Boy, you actually broke through to the middle stage of transformation into a god. Huang was slightly surprised, but shook his head disapprovingly, and said calmly, even if you are in the middle stage of becoming a god, it is impossible to refine such a spiritual weapon. Otherwise, do you think you can stay here safely? However, your incarnation actually dares to use this sword. If I kill him, you won't have any objections, right? Arrogance and disdain were like slaps hitting Zuyun's face hard one after another. No comment. Zuyun gritted his teeth and said, I'm sorry you don't dare. Huang raised her head slightly, pointed her delicate chin in the direction of Zuyun, and then said, boy, you are lucky. Even if the Dragon Demon Emperor passed through the Great Tribulation, nothing happened to you, yet you dare to take advantage of him to wait for the immortal light. Attack him when he comes. No wonder he dares to use this sword. As Huang said this, She danced the Fengwu sword into a sword flower, then tossed it and it floated around her. Zuyun could tell that Fengwu seemed very excited. That's right, this is a return to one's own clan. Don't dare, Zuyun nodded repeatedly and even showed a flattering smile. His dragon whip did work, but he did not dare to try it on the phoenix, a mythical beast that was comparable to a real dragon. Boy, since you are so real, I will let you go. Leave quickly. When the Dragon Demon King's tribulation is over and the fairy light descends, not to mention you, I am afraid that even I will not be able to escape. Huang had no idea what happened here. After she killed the fire incarnation in one fell swoop, Zuyun quickly asked all the incarnations to put away their magical powers to avoid irritating Huang. But he never thought that Huang would let him leave. How is this possible? Why, you don't want to? Huang frowned and said lightly when she saw Zuyun did not move. Zuyun's eyes turned, and he pointed at Wang's feet and said, Senior, my fire spirit pearl is under your feet, so. It's just a spirit pearl. Only someone like you who is in the spiritualization stage would treasure it, but then again, you are quite clever. You actually refine the fire spirit pearl into an incarnation. Huang got the Fengwu sword, and was in a good mood. He raised his foot, gently hooked the fire spirit pearl with his toes, and threw it to Zuyun. Zuyun quickly took it and put it into the ring. To show his sincerity, he also integrated the other incarnations into his body. In an instant, Zuyun held the whip in his right hand and the thunder spirit pearl in his left hand. Feeling the power fluctuations transmitted from the thunder spirit pearl to his hands, Zuyun knew that the thunder spirit power was extremely terrifying. It was also fortunate that the other party seemed to look down on the spirit pearl, otherwise, it would be hard to say whether the thunder spirit pearl could be kept. But then again, if I release all the thunder in the thunder spirit pearl, will I kill this phoenix here? When this thought came to mind, Zuyun was also shocked by himself. Let's not talk about whether it can hit or not. If it hits and has no effect, wouldn't it be useless to admit defeat at this time? Thinking of this, Zuyun gave up this idea. But what he didn't expect was that at this moment, the last trace of thunder power on the Dragon Demon King suddenly dissipated. Almost at the same time, the calamity cloud in the sky also disappeared without a trace. I saw that the phoenix's face changed, and it instantly turned into its original body, desperately flying towards the distance. The calamity cloud has dissipated, indicating that the Dragon Demon King has successfully passed the calamity. For her, this place should not be stayed for long. And Zuyun was also shocked, and he didn't have time to resent the phoenix for ruining his good deeds. He also used the escape technique and fled in a hurry. When the sky brightened, the Dragon Demon King suddenly poked his head out from the coiled dragon body, looking up and laughing wildly. Ha ha ha, I have successfully passed the tribulation. Boy, you will die. When the fairy light comes, I can easily catch you. While laughing, although there was no trace of demonic power in the body of the Dragon Demon King, he relied on the strength of his physical body to break through the pressure of the spiritual energy and fly towards the sky. Just wait for the heavenly way to break through and the fairy light to come. Zuyun was panicked and had countless thoughts flashing through his mind, but no matter which thought, he could not solve the threat of the Demon Dragon King after he became a fairy. But who would have thought that the Demon Dragon King's voice of doubt came from behind again? Where is the fairy light? Where is my fairy light? Didn't I survive the tribulation? Where is my fairy light? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1097. When the voice came, both Zuyun and Huang suddenly stopped, turned around in disbelief, and looked at the extremely frantic Dragon Demon Emperor in the world. I saw him with one eye open, showing a fierce look. And in his mouth, he started to curse at the sky. What a thief! Heaven is unfair. Why is it that I have endured 9 tribulation thunders, but there is still no fairy light? I don't accept it, I don't accept it. Could it be that we, the demon dragon clan, carry the destiny of heaven? Even if we reach the spiritual world and practice to the extreme, we will not be able to ascend to the fairy world. One roar after another reached their ears. Zuyun opened his mouth, and he didn't know why there was no fairy light. According to the Dragon Demon Emperor's previous preparations, the fairy light is a step that must be passed before ascension. He had seen the Xianxia platform, and Ye Yuan said that the endless golden light was the fairy light. And indeed, in the sky at this time, although the dark clouds had gone and the sky was bright, there was nothing that could be related to the fairy light. However, Zuyun did not expect so much. Before the immortal light arrives, he will be able to kill the Dragon Demon Emperor again. No matter whether the Dragon Demon Emperor can successfully ascend or not, even if he still stays in the lower realm, he will be the only one who will die without a burial place when the Dragon Demon Emperor recovers from this eye-destroying hatred. The main reason that could cause serious injuries to the Dragon Demon Emperor was the trapped dragon formation. Not only was it related to the dragon suppressing stone, but it was also taking advantage of the trap set by the Dragon Demon Emperor himself. The 2 mountain dragons outside Dragon Valley. But now that the Dragon Valley has been destroyed, Zuyun wants to kill the Dragon Demon Emperor again, unless he can cultivate to the stage of transcending the tribulation. Of course, that's assuming he survives that long. Zuyun's desire to kill the Dragon Demon Emperor has never changed. As long as there is a glimmer of hope, he dares to fight for it. If you fight, there is hope of living; if you don't fight, you can only die. Moreover, when he looked in the direction Huang left, there was no more fire. Zuyun's eyes showed a fierce light, because all the frustration Huang had caused to him was released at this moment. Is God unfair? He chuckled, and then rushed towards the Dragon Demon Emperor. A moment later, Zuyun was already floating in front of the furious dragon head. Dragon Demon Emperor, heaven is very fair. For your own selfishness, you killed the entire demon dragon clan to death. With what you have done, heaven will naturally not allow you to attain enlightenment. While talking, Zuyun's dragon-beating whip hit his head. Crack! This whip caused pain that started deep in the bone marrow. Instead of being furious, the Dragon Demon Emperor actually calmed down at this moment. Zuyun, Zuyun, you are also from the East Mortal realm. We are from the same place. Please, please, can you do me a favor? The Dragon Demon Emperor not only begged for mercy, but also lowered his body and said such humble words. Zuyun was also shocked. But then, he also figured it out. The Dragon Demon Emperor still wants to become an immortal. Because he has worked hard for tens of thousands of years, isn't it just to become a demon? It's a pity that Zuyun will not let him go because of his temporary weakness, let alone help him. Because the selfish Dragon Demon Emperor will definitely do things to repay kindness with revenge. Besides, what does it have to do with me whether you become a demon or not? To put it bluntly, you have become a demon fairy, but I am more dangerous. But Zuyun still wanted to figure out the key, so he asked, what do you want me to do for you? After hearing this, the Dragon Demon Emperor responded to Zuyun's promise, and quickly prostrated his body on the wasteland. He opened his one eye and said respectfully, Zuyun, my totem pole is missing. It may return to the East Mortal realm. Can you help me get the totem pole back? If you can do it, I am willing to become your pet and never be your enemy. I can also prepare for your ascension in the fairy world. I can swear an oath of heaven, please believe me. Of course Zuyun knew that the Dragon Demon Emperor's totem pole had disappeared, because the dragon head pillar was in his universe world. The ancestral tree even told him that the sudden appearance of the dragon head pillar caused the 12 totem poles to gather together. Not only did a mutation occur, but Yao Fuzong was also released. Yao Fuzong took advantage of the demon clan's destiny, and the Dragon Demon Emperor. It's also a guess that destiny did it, so he couldn't ascend. Zuyun thinks it's very possible, but so what? He already knows that destiny is needed for the creation of the world, and the secrets are all in the totem pole, so there is no need for the Dragon Demon Emperor at all. But even if he did, he wouldn't use Dragon Demon Emperor. However, he instead said doubtfully, I know about the totem pole. I have a good relationship with the demon emperors of the other 11 major demon clans in the East Mortal realm, but where can I find the dragon head pillar? The dragon suppressing stone will definitely be found. Zuyun, you are such a good person. The Dragon Demon Emperor wished he could use all the words of praise he knew on Zuyun. But in fact, Zuyun saw through everything. He did not respond directly, but said, it is too dangerous for me to return to the East Mortal realm. After all, I am suppressed by the law of heaven. An ordinary nascent soul stage can kill me. No, it won't be. The Dragon Demon Emperor gritted his teeth and pointed to a place and said, there are many treasures I have collected there, including many spiritual weapons refined with the blood of the true dragon and the blood of the true phoenix. You take it in the past, no matter how powerful the spiritual weapon in the East Mortal realm was, it was no match for you. Zuyun was overjoyed, but he didn't expect that there would be an unexpected gain. In order to make the other party take it out willingly, Zuyun deliberately showed interest and said, you take it out first and show it to me, but, true phoenix blood refining, I won't take the spiritual weapon I made for now. That phoenix female cultivator just now was too terrifying. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. The Dragon Demon Emperor turned around and turned into a human form. There was an injured eye on his calm and intimidating face, making him look even more ferocious and terrifying. When he turned around, Zuyun also noticed a fierce light from the other party, and immediately sneered in his heart, I have taken all your treasures, and then, I will send you on your way. I, Zuyun, am not a newbie on the path to immortality. You don't even understand. The Dragon Demon King observed for a moment, then walked to the original position of the Dragon Palace. He knelt down and dug quickly with both hands in front of him. After a long time, the Dragon Demon Emperor dug out a storage bag and respectfully presented it to Zuyun. Zuyun, this is it. This is what I have treasured for many years. Before he finished speaking, a flash of fire flashed. That familiar aura shocked the Dragon Demon Emperor and Zuyun. Phoenix. The Dragon Demon Emperor was dedicating himself to ascending to the throne for his own enlightenment, while Zuyun was far inferior to Zhihuang, and it was impossible to find out. In this way, the returning Phoenix robbed the Dragon Demon Emperor of his collection for many years. Dragon King. Huang threw the storage bag in his hand and said with a joking face, I didn't expect you to be today. Back then, you bullied the Dragon and Phoenix tribes. Is this retribution coming? These were all taken away from our two tribes. Right. Queen Huang, give it back to me. The Dragon Demon Emperor's one eye suddenly turned red. This was his gift to please Zuyun. How could he let Huang take it away? Give it back to you. What I took back with my strength, why should I give it back to you? Huang showed a sneer on his face and said, back then, you took advantage of your superior strength and took a lot of things from the Dragon and Phoenix tribes, including the essence and blood of our two tribes. Now, I will return these words intact. You. What are you going to do to me? Before the immortal light arrives, not only your demonic soul is destroyed, but also your demonic power is gone. Apart from this body, what can you do against our Dragon and Phoenix clans? The Dragon Demon Emperor was furious. This was his only hope of enlightenment and ascension. In the entire spiritual world, perhaps he could only turn to Zuyun for help. He was very sure that if he had nothing to offer, it would be impossible for Zuyun to go to the East Mortal realm to find the dragon head pillar for him. To ruin a person's path to immortality is an act of sworn hatred. and he himself has a grudge against the Phoenix clan. The Dragon Demon King roared angrily, opened his mouth, and pounced towards Huang. Ha ha ha, incompetent and furious, if you haven't overcome the tribulation, I will retreat. But you have overcome the tribulation, but you can't ascend. Dragon Demon Emperor, I didn't expect you to be like this. Huang kept sneering, and his dexterous body easily dodged the Dragon Demon Emperor's pursuit. How could the Dragon Demon Emperor be able to catch up to Huang with the power of his body? It seems to be a good omen of Dragon and Phoenix, but in fact, it is endless ridicule and teasing. The Dragon Demon Emperor's one eye seemed to burst out with anger, and at the same time he was gradually losing his mind. But no matter what, it's all to no avail. Zhu Yun just watched from a distance. If Huang could kill the Dragon Demon Emperor, it would save him a lot of trouble. However, these 3 meetings with Huang made him vaguely feel that Huang not only had a weird personality, but was also difficult to get along with. Perhaps, the Dragon Demon Emperor did not see Huang's murderous intention. But Zhu Yun saw it clearly. How about leaving now? If this Phoenix doesn't have enough fun and wants to stab me, I'll really have no place to cry. With this thought in his mind, Zhu Yun decided to leave, quietly gathered some of his breath, and retreated using the secret of immortality on the ground. But suddenly, a strange voice sounded behind him, causing him to stop suddenly. Boy, where do you want to go? A dragon's power was surrounding him. Real dragon. Zhu Yun took a deep breath and guessed who it was. It must be the dragon mentioned by Huang earlier. Fortunately, he didn't put away the dragon whip, otherwise the dragon's power would definitely suppress him here. Go where you can live. Zhu Yun tightened the dragon whip in his hand and said seriously. What kind of whip is this in your hand? If you stay, you can leave. The real dragon said with a stern expression. In fact, he felt the power of destroying the heaven and the earth from this dragon whip. This was a whip that could almost destroy him. If Zhu Yun's realm were a few levels higher, he would never dare to say a word to Zhu Yun. The stronger the true dragon's blood, the more obvious the dragon's power in the dragon whip will be sensed. Like Huang, who is also the most powerful beast in the spiritual world, but he can't recognize the dragon whip at all. Upon hearing the true dragon's words, Zhu Yun's heart skipped a beat, for sure the true dragon was afraid of this whip. Thinking that Huang was still fighting with the demon dragon and Phoenix, he could only cut through the mess quickly, not only to kill the real dragon, but at least to escape from this place. But with his strength, how could he escape the pursuit of a demon cultivator who was at the peak of the demon saint? Even if he can kill the real dragon. But this will definitely make Phoenix jealous. The dragon whip will be useless to her, and she will lose her last trump card. So, you can only use the dragon whip to control the real dragon, and then let him take you away. Zhu Yun had no way out, so he turned around, with a smile on his face as if to present the treasure, and pointed the whip handle towards the real dragon. Only then did he see what a real dragon looked like. However, the real dragon took the form of a human. A handsome man with an extremely ugly expression. Senior, I just picked this whip up casually. If you want it, just take it. After saying that, he bowed slightly, but on the Chaos Lotus, he began to purify the chaos power and injected it into his eyes. Divine Eye Technique. Facing such powerful men, he only has one chance. Either life or death. Humph, send it over. The real dragon snorted softly and ordered to Zhu Yun. His original intention was to be more careful. If Zhu Yun made any changes, he could quickly kill Zhu Yun at such a close distance. Although the whip was strong, it could not kill him with one whip. If he was injured in exchange for this whip, the real dragon would certainly be willing. But he never imagined that Zhu Yun would have to fight enemies stronger than him along the way. He is calm, and his acting skills are at their best. Bow your head, lower your eyebrows. until the real dragon's hand can reach the handle of the dragon whip. The real dragon glanced at Huang, who was still fighting with the dragon demon king, and felt a sudden realization in his heart. Fortunately, he came here to take a look. Otherwise, if such treasures fell into the hands of someone who was in the tribulation stage, I am afraid that they would not be able to survive in the spiritual world. The true dragon clan will suffer catastrophe. But just when he retracted his gaze and reached out to hold the dragon whip, Zuyun also moved at this time. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1098. Facing Zuyun's dragon whip, the real dragon has always been afraid, so he ignored Zuyun's ability. Wuji sword art. You can use the sword even if you don't have a sword in your hand, not to mention that Zuyun just held the dragon whip in reverse. The sword has many images. Under Zuyun's control, the dragon whip is like an extremely soft sword, and the dark whip body rolls straight towards the real dragon. The real dragon was horrified. His reaction was very fast, but the dragon whip at this time, because of the extremely pure blood of the real dragon itself, felt a stronger pressure. That's why he made a wrong decision again. The real dragon turned and ran, but the dragon whip quickly became longer. In just one move, it had already tightly wrapped around the real dragon's right hand, like a bone-attaching erosion, and it couldn't get rid of it at all. And the pressure was deeply transmitted into the real dragon's body through this right hand. "Let me go, let me go." The real dragon roared in fear and fled like crazy. Zuyun was also pulled hard, and he jumped out like a shepherd boy tied to the back of a mad bull. Zuyun wanted to escape, but not in such an embarrassing way. His eyes focused, and he held the dragon whip tightly with his right hand, and began to draw talismans with his left hand. "Stop." The word "stop" took shape, and quickly turned into a rune, wrapping around the back of the real dragon. Although the effect was not good, it also made the real dragon's figure stagnate. Zuyun took advantage of the situation and pulled the whip, and quickly approached the real dragon, and kicked it hard. Pa! This kick hit the real dragon's back. How humiliated the real dragon was, a kid in the middle stage of the transformation of the spirit, relying on the pressure of the magic weapon. This is simply too much. But just when he wanted to resist, Zuyun kicked him in the back again, and at the same time the dragon whip also went around his left hand. Like a butterfly flying through flowers, in just a moment, the real dragon was tied up. "Boy, you are going too far, wow." The real dragon was furious. Although the pressure of the dragon whip made him feel fear in his bones, the more fear he had, the more he wanted to break free. After all, he was also a real dragon equivalent to the late stage of the demon saint, the strongest realm under the limitation of the heaven. "My body." The real dragon roared, and was about to transform into its original body. The dragon energy was surging around, and the real dragon's body changed rapidly. Zuyun was shocked, fearing that he would be affected, and subconsciously wanted to loosen the dragon whip and escape first to see the situation, but he didn't expect that the dragon whip was so resilient. The real dragon was still getting bigger, but there was no sign of the dragon whip being broken. Until the real dragon turned into a black body dozens of feet long, it still couldn't escape the restraint of the dragon whip. Moreover, the bigger his body, the greater the pressure he received. This gave Zuyun an unexpected surprise. He quickly flew forward and found the handle of the dragon whip at the dragon's neck. After reaching out and holding it, he pulled it hard. Ang! The dragon's neck was pulled, and the real dragon let out a dragon roar, but to Zuyun at this time, it was no different from a horse. Unexpectedly, his thought of riding Xiaohe to fly became a reality on this real dragon. The real dragon had no power to resist at all. The more fiercely he resisted, the tighter Zuyun pulled the dragon whip. He never thought that the dragon whip was like a bridle. "Now, we can escape." Zuyun was overjoyed. Just when he wanted the real dragon to continue to escape to the distance, the fight between the Dragon Demon King and the Phoenix over there also stopped abruptly. The Dragon Demon King's body was extremely powerful, but he had no demon power after all, and his demon soul was weakened by the dragon whip layer by layer, so he was no match for the Phoenix Queen. Boom! The huge dragon body fell from the sky and landed on the wasteland, like an earth collapse, raising countless dust. In the smoke and dust, Huang also lost all her strength and fell down. Her figure was not as strong as the Dragon Demon King, and this fall made her injuries worse. It was also this image that made the real dragon under Zuyun suddenly wake up. Is Huang going to die? Zuyun also stopped and waited quietly for the dust to settle, and then asked, "What is your relationship with Huang?" The real dragon seemed to accept the fact that he was controlled by Zuyun, and said, "We are the only two divine beasts in this lower world. If there is any relationship, there is no relationship. It's just that we are both divine beasts, and sometimes we can have common words." Zuyun thought for a while and said, "When did you come?" At that time, he paid full attention to the Dragon Demon King's Huang, and when he wanted to escape, he was caught by the real dragon. But at that time, he heard Huang say that the real dragon was timid and afraid of trouble. If they had come together and attacked the Dragon Demon King, perhaps Huang would not have ended up like this. It can be seen from this. This real dragon is not a good thing either. On the surface, he did not come with Huang, but secretly watched from the side. Maybe he wanted to reap the benefits. What kind of divine beast is it? It is just like an ordinary creature, and it will also have dirty thoughts? Suddenly, Zuyun had no good feelings for the real dragon under his seat. "Let's go and take a look." Zuyun pulled the dragon whip, and the real dragon was restrained and could only obey orders. "Don't think about running away again, otherwise don't blame me for being rude," Zuyun warned in a cold voice, and then transformed into an incarnation, holding the dragon whip to control the real dragon, and he went to check the body of the Dragon Demon King. The breath was gone, the demon soul was scattered, and there was a strong unwillingness in the huge single eye. Although he didn't die at his hands, Zuyun thought that his failure to pass the tribulation and the arrival of the immortal light might have something to do with him. However, he couldn't figure out the reason yet. "You have been planning for tens of thousands of years, but you still can't escape the fate of not being able to ascend to immortality." Zuyun shook his head and looked at the phoenix again. This was the first time he saw the phoenix's body at such a close distance. The flames on the phoenix had dissipated, leaving only messy wings, messy, looking like a disheveled woman who had just torn with someone on the street. Beside her, the Fengguo sword was a little restless, flying around the phoenix, and at the same time making a sword sound like a phoenix. "The Dragon Demon King is dead, and your Fengguo sword is useless to me. This phoenix carries the title of the descendant, and it should have a place in the Phoenix clan. If he carries the Fengguo sword again, it is likely to cause trouble again," so Zuyun simply ignored it. "It's time to leave. The trouble with the Dragon Demon King has been solved, and the fragment has been obtained. It is time to find a place to practice well, and then find a way to sneak into the Five Elements sect and get another fragment. Getting the fragment will not make Zuyun's strength increase directly, but there will always be more unexpected gains. In the past, it was limited to this for Zuyun, but now there is Nujiao in the Immortal Mansion, and he can learn more about the fairy world from her." Zuyun thought that the fairy world was still far away from him, but he came into contact with things related to the fairy world one after another in this spiritual world, and Zuyun had to make himself know more about the fairy world. Alas, the four mortal worlds all have the conspiracy of the powerful in the spirit world. I wonder, is this the conspiracy of the powerful in the immortal world? The Chaos Sutra of the Five Elements Wanderer is like this, and those evil immortals' methods, will they also be the conspiracy of some evil immortals? Zuyun sighed slightly, and then returned to the incarnation, and after reintegrating the incarnation into the body, the real dragon suddenly said, "That, little Taoist friend." "What?" Zuyun frowned and looked at the real dragon with a flattering smile. "I have known the Phoenix Queen for a long time. She died in front of me. Can I send her off? After all, she is also a divine beast. It's not good to leave her corpse in the wilderness." Zuyun knew what the real dragon meant. He narrowed his eyes and used the divine eye technique without hesitation. There was a gleam in his eyes, but it was impossible to tell what the real dragon's real purpose was. He pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "You can send it, but I won't untie it." The true dragon shook his head and said, "No, no, I admit defeat and will never do anything stupid. And I'm just sending the Phoenix Queen, you can rest assured, little Taoist friend." After getting Zuyun's consent, the true dragon opened his mouth and spit out the true dragon fire at the phoenix's body. The true dragon fire is transformed from the dragon's breath, and the true dragon is originally a divine beast. It contains the power of the divine beast that has been passed down from generation to generation, but it is just manifested in a different form. The flames quickly engulfed the phoenix's body, and the true dragon roared at the Fengguo sword in a low voice, "You, the sword spirit, are also a young phoenix. Send the Phoenix Queen back to your clan." Clang, clang. The Fengguo sword made a clear sound and went straight into the flames, and then lifted up the phoenix's body, and after circling around the true dragon for a few times, it actually flew away. That fire seems to have become stronger. Zuyun had a vague feeling, but he couldn't catch the flash of inspiration in his mind no matter what. After thinking for a moment, he decided to follow. This real dragon has a lot of tricks. He snorted coldly, pulled the dragon whip hard, and said, "What are you doing?" Feeling his neck being pinched, the real dragon cried out in injustice, little Taoist friend, misunderstanding, I just want to cremate the body of the Phoenix Queen so that it won't be exposed in the wilderness. But the sword won't collect the ashes of the phoenix, so I use the fire of the real dragon, because I can control the intensity of the fire, so that the sword can burn the phoenix to ashes after sending it back to the clan. Zuyun would never believe his nonsense. His intuition told him that things were far from that simple. He pulled the dragon whip again, but this time he didn't let go, but turned over and stood on his dragon mouth, staring at the real dragon's eyes and said, "Recognize me as your master, otherwise, die." After walking through the three mortal realms in succession, Zuyun has understood a truth. Sometimes, there is no need to talk about evidence. This naked threat made the true dragon feel humiliated again. He roared in a low voice, saying, "Either kill me. It's impossible for me to recognize a mid-stage god transformation as my master. Impossible." Zuyun showed a cruel smile on his face. He was so stubborn that he obviously had something to hide. "I can swear by the heavenly Dao. If you recognize me as your master, I will let you go immediately and never hurt your life." Hearing this, the true dragon was stunned. He couldn't understand what Zuyun meant. He also felt that Zuyun was not as simple as he said on the surface. But the problem is, he couldn't see what Zuyun's purpose was. "But he never hurt my life and swore by the heavenly Dao. It's not unacceptable to temporarily suffer this humiliation." "Are you serious?" It was indeed very difficult for the true dragon to be tied up by the dragon whip. "I've sworn by the heavenly Dao, do you think it's fake?" Zuyun showed disdain and provoked, "As a divine beast, you don't even trust the heavenly Dao. Then you swear first." The real dragon thought that with the heavenly Dao's support, he could at least save his life. "Of course." Zuyun stretched out 3 fingers and swore to the heavenly Dao. As the golden light fell from the sky, the real dragon simply turned into a human form and lowered his head. "Meet the master." Zuyun's evil plan succeeded, and he was in a good mood. He smiled evilly and said, "Yes, I will take you to a wonderful place. As soon as the voice fell, the real dragon's figure disappeared out of thin air. As expected, he was taken into the great universe world by Zuyun along with the dragon whip. I won't kill you either, I will slowly grind with you. Zuyun found a big pit next to the body of the dragon demon king, and then his figure flashed and entered the immortal mansion, and then went to the great universe world. Not long after, a demon dragon flew over. If Zuyun still stayed here, he would definitely recognize that this was the one who was previously trapped by his dragon formation and was covered with wounds. Long Wu. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzuan Xianxia. Chapter 1099. Boy, where is this? The real dragon stared, feeling the extremely pure spiritual power, feeling inexplicably frightened. Of course he knew that this was Zuyun's outer space. But this space shocked him as a divine beast. A mid-stage god transformation. How is it possible to create such a large space outside the body? And he obviously knew the opponent's trump card. Logically speaking, he was not far from death, but the opponent had sworn an oath of heaven not to kill him. So, are you going to trap yourself here forever? Thinking of this, the real dragon couldn't help but stand on end. This kid is so insidious. But he had been fooled, and there was nothing he could do about it. I told you, this is an amazing place. Zuyun said with a half smile, and then took back the dragon beating whip, and then threw it to a middle-aged man with a green body. He is the ancestral tree in human form. Old Shu, I swore an oath of heaven not to hit him, but I didn't say you couldn't hit him. Boy, you. The real dragon was furious, but he also knew that he was a lamb at the mercy of others. He didn't expect this at all. The man transformed from the spirit tree in front of him didn't have much aura, and looked much weaker than him. But he can feel the strength of the other party. Extremely terrifying. This magic weapon that suppresses him is still in his hands. It is conceivable that he has no way out. What made him collapse even more was that ancestral Shu did not pull the dragon beating whip, but stretched out his hand and threw the dragon beating whip back to Zuyun with a smile. Master, in this world, the outside world has no control over it. If you want to fight, just fight. Zuyun immediately became happy, holding the dragon beating whip tightly and stroking the body of the whip. Every movement makes the real dragon extremely frightened. Forget it, I don't have time to pay attention to him. I'll leave it to you to teach him a lesson. When he really gives in and reveals his purpose, you can let him go. Zuyun handed the dragon beating whip back, thought for a moment, and said, I killed the dragon demon emperor, and I don't know if this totem pole will have any impact. I'll go and take a look. Okay, leave this to me. Zusha no longer refused, took the dragon beating whip, looked at the real dragon path with evil intentions, and said lightly, in this world, the master is the sky. If you are a tiger, you have to lie down, if you are a dragon, you have to sit down. Come on. Now, go over there and reflect on where you have offended your master. After saying that, Zusha returned to his seat and sat down quietly. With the fusion of another fragment, he can control more and more of the original power. Not only can he transform into human form, but he can also practice in human form. The same is true for Muling Holy Mountain. However, this time he did not transform, just to prevent the real dragon from doing something that would hurt both sides. Although it is impossible for the real dragon to escape from this world, the ancestral tree is still afraid that the other party will know that there is no way to survive and do something crazy, thus affecting creatures like Sangu and the others. The real dragon's chest kept rising and falling, feeling humiliated one after another but unable to resist. This feeling was destroying his pride bit by bit. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have saved Phoenix. This kid is too careful. The real dragon gritted his teeth and retreated to the corner designated by the ancestral tree. He closed his eyes and cursed in his heart. This was simply the stupidest decision in his life. How could he have imagined that his little thoughts would be sensed by someone in the god transformation stage? If not, he might still have a chance to escape. Zuyun stood in front of the dragon head pillar, lost in thought. Because, compared with the other 11 totem poles, he found that the dragon head pillar was different. Could it be that the dragon demon emperor is dead and there is no demon dragon to carry the destiny? Zuyun frowned and thought to himself. At that time, those demon kings directly handed over the totem pole to Zuyun, so in essence, those demon kings still carried the destiny. In other words, they were still inseparable from the totem pole. But it stands to reason that this world has nothing to do with the outside world. Even the ancestral tree said that the outside world has no control here, and the so-called destiny has nothing to do with the outside world. Why, this dragon will the first pillar change? Does the totem pole have to carry the destiny of the 12 tribes? Or maybe it's because the demon dragon clan broke off its inheritance that it caused such anomalies. After thinking about it, Zuyun picked up the dragon head pillar, but unexpectedly, the dragon head pillar shrank to the size of a palm. Forget it, never mind, we'll talk about it then. Zuyun was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously held the dragon head plunger in his arms. He remembered the previous scene of the real dragon spitting fire at the Phoenix Queen, and he suddenly caught the light in his mind. Nujiao's voice sounded in my mind. The phoenix can reach nirvana and be reborn from the ashes. Zuyun stood up with a roar, his eyes gleaming. Okay, you actually want to save Wang's life. From the looks of it, you want Wang to mobilize the entire Phoenix clan to save him. What you have in mind is beautiful. Zuyun couldn't help but feel happy. Fortunately, he had deceived the real dragon into the world of the universe first. But if Huang really comes back to life and has Fengwu's sword to deliver the message, I'm afraid I will have to deal with the wrath of the entire Phoenix clan. What is more likely is that if the Phoenix clan brings the news to the Dragon clan, the consequences will be disastrous. Just as one enemy was eliminated, another one appeared. It turned out to be a demonic dragon, but now we have to face a mythical beast. Headache. We can't let them succeed. With a thought in Zuyun's mind, he appeared in the Immortal Mansion in a flash, and then left the Immortal Mansion. But as soon as the figure appeared, he was stunned. I saw a demon dragon covered in wounds, wielding demon power, spitting demon fire full of hatred, refining the corpse of the demon dragon emperor. If he hadn't been hiding in the pit on the side, he might have been burned to death by the demonic fire as soon as he came out. Long Wu! Zuyun screamed and immediately attracted the other party's attention. I saw that fierce light flashing, but Zuyun saw the murderous intention subsided. Is it you? Just leave, I won't kill you again. Long Wu said sadly. Zuyun was stunned, not knowing why it was like this. You know, Long Wu's injury was caused by him using the dragon trap formation. Only. Didn't he die in a catastrophe? Wait. Zuyun immediately remembered that when he came with the dragon demon emperor, Long Wu was already unconscious and stayed outside the dragon valley. Later, the dragon demon emperor used the roar of the dragon, which caused thousands of demon dragons to become insane and crazy, and they withstood the catastrophe for him. But Long Wu escaped. In other words, he is the last demon dragon. Thinking of this, his eyes lit up and he reached out to touch his arms. Dragon head pillar. Long Wu, what are you doing? Do you want to refine the dragon demon emperor and strengthen yourself? Zuyun asked boldly. Among monsters, there are indeed monsters that can devour their own kind and become stronger, but he doesn't know much about monster dragons. What's more important is that at this time, he has the dragon head pillar as his trump card. If he loses again, the worst he can do is to use the dragon whip again. Boy, I didn't expect you to survive the disaster. Maybe you are a person favored by heaven. Zuyun curled his lips. God favored him? He just violated the oath of heaven. Longwu sighed and said, originally, if you were here, I would definitely kill you. Because the demon emperor has ordered that any creature that breaks into this place without mercy will be killed without mercy. But who would have thought that the demon emperor, whom we worship as a god, would be killed without mercy, but he treats us as pawns to resist the catastrophe when he ascends. Speaking of this, Longwu smiled miserably and said, so, I don't want to carry out his orders anymore, and I want to refine him. There are no demon dragons in the Eastern mortal world, and there are no demon dragons in the spiritual world. From now on, I am the only one left in the demon dragon clan, and I don't want to conflict with you again for no reason. Besides, you are also from the East mortal realm, so there is no need for me to kill you. Longwu was telling the truth. The demon dragon emperor's move completely chilled his heart. Originally, everything he did was to strengthen the clan, so the stronger the dragon demon emperor was, the better they would be able to survive in the outer world of Kunlun. But the result? He was greatly disappointed, and even his heart of cultivating Taoism was wavered. Thinking about it again, the demon dragon clan has been strong for so long, but no one has ascended. Zuyun was silent. He saw the sadness in Longwu's eyes, and his heart couldn't help but be touched by it. Longwu, Zuyun suddenly raised his head and asked, do you know, destiny? Destiny? Longwu was stunned, nodded, and said, I know, but I don't know much. The Demon King has always said that the destiny cannot be violated. They bear the destiny, so only through practice can they break the destiny. Unfortunately, the clan is completely destroyed, and the destiny is also I don't know what it is. Zuyun pondered for a moment, organized the words in his heart, and said, I can let you know the destiny, but I don't know whether this day will be good for you. Since Longwu took the initiative to put down his grudges, although his tone was not kind, Zuyun could understand that there was no need for him to kill Longwu again. Coupled with the accident at the Dragon Head Pillar, Zuyun was able to kill two birds with one stone. Of course, if Longwu refuses, he will not force it. After all, there are no demon dragons on the Yellow Star, but that doesn't mean there are no demon dragons on other planets. The demon of destiny cannot exist in only one world. Longwu looked at Zuyun and said, if you can use the dragon suppressing stone, you must have been to Dongsheng realm and made friends with the other 11 demon clans? So, what you want to say is, let me carry the destiny. Yes, if you carry the destiny, you can know the destiny. And if you bear the destiny, you can live forever. Although you are not from cultivation, but don't blame me for my straightforward advice. Your Taoist heart has been shaken. In addition, even the Dragon Demon Emperor has if you fail to overcome the tribulation, what confidence do you have to survive the tribulation and ascend to enlightenment? These words firmly entered Longwu's heart. Let me think about it, just wait here for a while. Longwu turned around and continued to refine the body of the Dragon Demon Emperor. Zuyun sighed and said, I want to go in that direction. If you figure it out, you can find it all the way, or you can stay where you are and wait for me. After that, Zuyun took out the totem pole from his arms, squatted down, and slowly placed the dragon head pole on the ground. Who would have thought that a sudden change would occur? I started my cultivation by picking up the immortal skills. Author, Banzhuan Xianxia. Chapter 1100. I saw that the dragon head pillar, which was originally dim and dull, like a dead thing, suddenly glowed with golden light. Before Zuyun could react, the golden light had already shot towards Longwu. Zuyun had seen the scene with his own eyes. This was the case when Lao Jin became the leader of the Jinjiao clan. He completely forgot that the leader of the 12 demon clans is not chosen by anyone who wants to be the leader, but by the totem pole. Only Longwu was left in the demon dragon clan. Before he could react, he was enveloped in golden light. Within a moment, the golden light had already subsided, and Longwu opened his eyes with a look of disbelief on his face. Obviously, he has accepted the inheritance of destiny and learned about the part of destiny he carries. Of course, he also knows that destiny cannot be said. This. Zuyun wanted to say something, but he didn't know where to start. Longwu also turned his head and looked at Zuyun. Maybe I should thank you. Longwu murmured. Thanks. Zuyun was speechless. Longwu smiled bitterly and said, the totem pole told me that I am the only demon dragon clan member here. If you hadn't injured me at that time, I'm afraid I would have been affected by the roar of the mad dragon and would have come here to help the demon emperor resist the sky tribulation. Speaking of this, Longwu also had mixed feelings in his heart and lowered his head. Zuyun took a deep breath and said, since you have carried the destiny, what are your plans? He said, still looking at the dragon head pillar, because Zuyun needed 12 totem poles if he wanted to refine the world of the universe into something perfect. Even if Longwu becomes the demon dragon clan leader designated by Dragon Head Pillar, it will not have much to do with him. I don't know either. Longwu shook his head and said, now that I am alone, I am the same wherever I am, and I am immortal. From this inheritance, we can know that as long as I don't want to, I will not disturb the heavens. G. Zuyun understood the meaning and could only nod his head, took back the totem pole and said, in that case, I'll take my leave. Wait. Longwu stopped Zuyun, pointed at the huge corpse of the demon dragon emperor, and said, you are right. I have become immortal, and there is no point in continuing to practice. The dragon emperor once refined 7 beads. My original intention, I want to take it out of his body. It's almost done now, so why don't I give you the bead as a thanks to you? Bead. Zuyun suddenly opened his eyes and said, are you talking about the dragon balls? Yes, dragon balls. Do you know that too? Longwu was a little surprised. I know. Zuyun responded, but did not explain. He saw that Longwu no longer pursued cultivation, and his heart was obviously open-minded. Then just wait a moment. Longwu turned around and continued to spit the dragon's fire at the corpse, but Zuyun didn't want to wait too long. Instead, he said, the 7 dragon balls are of no use to me for the time being. You can keep them first. I still have business to do. What if, see you someday, can you give me the speed again? That's okay. Longwu smiled heartily and said, the spiritual world is huge, but I have never left Kunlun. When the time comes, I will travel far and wide. If we meet again, you can't refuse me anymore. No, definitely not. Zuyun clasped his fists and said, Dragon King, see you later. After the words fell, Zuyun fled towards the distance. Longwu looked at Zuyun's disappearing figure, with a meaningful smile on his lips. This kid is quite interesting, different from all the monks I have seen. If the 7 dragon balls are used on the dragon suppressing stone, maybe it can make the dragon suppressing stone. It's impossible for him not to know that she has obtained the body of a dragon, but he is able to refuse such a huge temptation. This boy is extraordinary. After wasting some time here, Zuyun gained something. Although the dragon's head pillar turned dark again, Zuyun's soul felt a little different. Perhaps, entering the universe world again may cause the 12 totem poles to change again. Thinking of this, Zuyun couldn't wait to quickly deal with the phoenix that Fengyu's sword had taken away. That real dragon seems harmless to humans and animals, honest, but in fact, it is not petty at all. Coupled with Wang's changeable personality, Zuyun also scorned these 2 divine beasts and had no sense of awe at all. Fortunately, the dragon demon emperor still wanted to transform into a real dragon, but that was all. Zuyun pursued all the way. Although the Fengyu's sword was fast, without anyone to control it, it suffered a lot of damage using only the power of the phoenix fire in the sword. Zhu Yun chased for more than 2 hours, and finally found a ball of fire in front of him. Humph, let's see where you run this time. The real dragon is in the universe, why don't I capture you too? Zhu Yun didn't know why he had such an idea, but according to Zhu Shu, the more creatures there are in the universe, the more original power there will be. Then the world will be more perfect. Perhaps because of this relationship, Zhu Yun also thought that the power of the divine beast might also provide more original power. Although he despises the dragon and phoenix tribes, they are still mythical beasts and may have different meanings to the world. Ahead, Feng Wujian also noticed Zhu Yun chasing after him, and became anxious. He had originally set his sights on Zhu Yun in his small stage of becoming a god, but if there had been no real dragon at that time, it would have been impossible for him to escape with the Phoenix Queen. No matter how smart he was, he could still see the situation. Zhu Yun is not easy to deal with. As a result, he went crazy and ran away crazily into the distance. In the sky, it was as if the sun was passing by, and the fire was extremely dazzling. And Zhu Yun was more like a person chasing the sun. Such a strange phenomenon, appearing in the sky, would naturally be discovered by people. In the deep mountains, in an old palace, a monk who was crossing the tribulation suddenly opened his eyes. What a huge phoenix fire breath, and it is so pure. In surprise, he suddenly rushed out of his spiritual consciousness and rushed towards the ball of fire. After a moment, he laughed wildly. Phoenix Wu sword? It turned out to be the long-lost Feng Guo sword. It just so happens that I lack a good fire spirit sword, and the Feng Guo sword is the best. And the pure phoenix fire coming from the Feng Guo sword, is it a real phoenix in nirvana? While talking to himself, he flashed and chased after the Feng Guo sword. As for Zhu Yun, who was chasing a small middle stage spirit transformation, he might also be attracted by this strange phenomenon, and he didn't take it seriously at all. Feng Guo's sword was fleeing in panic, but suddenly, a strong spiritual energy enveloped him. Then, the spiritual energy in the air became condensed, as if the power of extreme ice had frozen him. No matter how hard he tried, he could not move forward half an inch. The young phoenix sword spirit was horrified, but it was useless, until a figure suddenly walked out of the void and reached out to hold him. Feeling the terrifying power, Feng Guo's sword was trembling, and he had no intention of resisting at all. In the distance, Zhu Yun also made a quick decision and turned around and left. When he felt the huge power, his first reaction was to use the divine eye technique. This powerful person, with only a glance of pressure, could crush him into powder. I can only hope that he doesn't care about this ant, right? Zhu Yun thought so in his heart, but he secretly remembered the location of this place in his heart. Because he recognized that person. Xianxia. Not to mention that enemies often meet on narrow paths, Xianxia was at the hands of Zhang Daozun because of him. Huh? Why does that guy in the middle stage of the spiritualization look familiar? Xianxia was still immersed in the joy of obtaining the Feng Guo sword, and was not interested in the young cultivator in the middle stage of the spiritualization. However, his impression of Zhu Yun remained at the early stage of the spiritualization. The Dragon Emperor actually failed to pass the tribulation, which is quite interesting. When the immortal fighting secret realm is opened again, with the Feng Guo sword in hand, I may be able to obtain another treasure, and then I will attract the heavenly tribulation, and my hope will be even greater. A powerful person like him, and the movement of the Dragon Demon Emperor when he triggered the heavenly tribulation, he must be able to discover it. And the immortal light has not arrived, and the Dragon Demon Emperor's breath is also gone, obviously he failed to pass the tribulation and died. But how could he know that the Dragon Demon Emperor fought with the Phoenix and both were injured, and finally died? Chen Tianqiao muttered to himself, flicking the sword with his hand, and the Feng Guo sword made a flattering sound. Then Chen Tianqiao used his magical power to put away the phoenix fire, and finally fled away. Feeling the breath disappear, Zuyun let out a long breath, returned along the original road, and came to the dragon valley that was razed to the ground. After 4 hours, Longwu was no longer here, and the corpses of the demon dragons on the ground were gone, including the dragon demon king. And at the location of the dragon palace, a huge hill appeared, and on the hill, there was a huge stone tablet. Obviously, Longwu buried all the demon dragons here. The ancestral tomb of the demon dragon. Zuyun sighed slightly and turned to leave.